Hi. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify something. The Healing Reset diet that I just posted, um, that centers and has meat and broths and cooked vegetables and egg yolks and low sulfur vegetables and all kinds of these things. I just want to be clear. This diet is great, and it's probably, I think, in my opinion, the absolute best diet that you can do if you have autoimmune, if you have tons of symptoms, if you have anywhere over 20 symptoms, 10 to 20 symptoms, you need to calm them down. So this diet is great. It means you have problems with your gut. It means you need to heal and seal your gut. You need to stop food sensitivities. You need to feed your body what it needs so that you get all the methylation from the protein and from everything like that, so that you're getting your B's, you're getting everything that you need to methylate. You have tons of iron and zinc and high B vitamins. You're not limiting yourself at all. This is an amazing diet for anybody who's got any kind of autoimmune condition or pain syndrome, chronic fatigue syndrome, anything that's super inflammatory, uh, brain diseases, um, nervous system, central nervous system diseases. This is the diet for you. Okay. I just want to be clear though, this is not the diet for you. I would not do this diet in a couple cases. If you have cancer and also if you have type 2 diabetes. So for a cancer diet, I would definitely cut out the meat because meat is building. And if you have a tumor, you don't want to feed it and you don't want to grow it, right? So we want to diminish as much as we can IGF-1 factor and growth factors. And so in that case of having a large tumor in your body that you need to shrink, I would definitely skip the meat and the broths, and I would go keto, plant-based keto, or I would go basically raw vegan, plant-based. But I would definitely once a month or once every couple of weeks, maybe once every week even, I would have a small protein meal. This isn't enough to grow the tumor, but it's enough to give your body the nutrition it needs, and it still needs the vitamins and the nutrients that it can process and do the things that it needs to. But I would focus primarily on a raw vegan plant diet with tons and tons of juicing, tons of salads, tons of everything. You're not worried at that point. You're not experiencing symptoms in your gut, so you're not experiencing, unless it's colon cancer, you're not experiencing all these symptoms and flares that you need to die down and immune responses. You're actually able to handle all the roughage. You're able to pile on the juices. You're able to have tons of sulfur vegetables. I would kick up the sulfur vegetables in this case because you want those reactions. You want to kick everything out. You want to detox as much as possible. When you're in an autoimmune condition or a pain syndrome or a chronic fatigue, you want to limit your immune reaction. You don't want to shut off your immune system by taking immune suppressant drugs. Immunosuppressants basically is what they give you for all those. But you want to, with food, die down the immune response while keeping your immune system working without keeping it flared, because the symptoms are your body is overreacting to everything. If you have a cancer or a tumor, you definitely want to flare up your immune response as high as it can possibly go. And if you have if you have an autoimmune condition and cancer, it gets tricky. But if you don't have an autoimmune, that could be maybe for another video, because that's a whole nother topic of what I would do. But if you have cancer and you don't have an autoimmune condition or over 10 symptoms, then I would pump up the sulfur vegetables. I would pump up the juices, all kinds of dark leafy greens, all kinds of vegetables, lots of raw vegan. I would still stay away. I would use nuts as my protein, but I would still, as often as possible, every week, if you're too fearful, every 2 weeks, I would have fish or I would have chicken. I would definitely not forget to add protein every once in a while. It's not a sin on a raw vegan diet to be 95% raw vegan and 5% clean, organic, grass-fed protein or fish. something like saltwater, deep water fish like salmon would be, giving you the omegas that your body needs. So we don't want to cut it off, but we definitely want to stop all the sugar. So I would be stopping as much sugar as possible. So I wouldn't do high sugar fruits. I would definitely still do fruits. But if you want to go keto, I would go keto with a lot of oils and coconut oils and cancel all fruits. So it depends on what kind of cancer you have as to whether you think detoxing with the juice is going to help break down the tumor more, because juicing and all the greens is basically it's your body's way of detoxing. So getting out the tumor, doing enemas, detoxing it, right? But keto or plant-based keto or even a regular keto is slowing down. There's no sugar. There's absolutely no sugar of any kind. And so it can't grow, right? It cannot grow if it doesn't have the sugar to grow. And so you're maintaining it, but then you need to do little detoxes in between with all the juices and the greens because you need to detox it out. So keto is basically shrinking it, it's starving it, it's not growing it, and all the juices and the enemas and the vegetables are cleansing and detoxing. So I don't want to give the impression that my Healing Reset diet is the diet that I would do in all cases. For example, what I would do if I have cancer is completely different. What I would do if I am having an autoimmune crash or a plethora, a handful, a dozen, even up to 100, 200 symptoms. That's like a mast cell reaction, and we need to calm the immune system down without shutting it off. And we need to bring the body back into balance, and we need to make sure that we're getting enough things that we can methylate everything that we're doing, because we're having breaks in our methylation pathways. And so we need to increase that with organ meats and different broths, and we need to heal the gut lining and make sure that nothing's leaking out into the system and causing us flares. So it's completely different. And again, type 2 diabetes is completely different. I would definitely do 100% a keto diet for that, or fasting, because you can definitely just turn that response right off if it's type 2. And even in some cases, there's a couple guys who are doing it with type 1. So there's an example of where my healing diet wouldn't work as a cancer diet, where you have a large tumor that you need to shrink. But it's definitely not a high glucose diet. It's not a high processed foods diet. It's not a toxic diet. So it's not going to be giving you cancer if you don't already have it. But it's definitely going to be healing your gut and turning off immune reactions. So this is just another addendum to my healing diet reset, and in what situation really would be beneficial to use that. Okay, so I hope that clears things up and hope that helps.